circle to output device. Now, when you see something like this, circle to output device, now the first thing you have to look at is what is an output. Okay, what is an output? This is very, very important. Now, when we talk about output, output is used to receive. Okay, so you can see this in terms of terminology in you can see this in chapter 1, right? Types and components of the computer system, or you can see this, what we are looking at itself is the chapter 2. So let me probably just put it here. The chapter 2. So this is chapter 2. Chapter 2, input and output system and output devices. All right, so let's look at it there, right? So when we talk about an output device, okay, one way to look at it is capable of receiving data from another device, right? So if you look at output device, it is capable. It is what? Again, please take note, it is a hardware device. A hardware device, right, that is capable of receiving data from another device. Okay. You can also say that it is also a hardware device. A hardware device. I think, okay. It is also, let me just put it here. It is also a hardware device that is also that takes the output data from a computer, okay, and puts it into human readable form or format. Now, it's important for me to explain all these things to you because I want you to understand the concept. Okay, I don't just want to just answer questions and move on. You should also understand why that is what it is. Really, it's very important that you understand why that is. So that is what we do here. And if you join us for the first time, well, good news, right? You probably need to subscribe because that's what we do here. Now, let's say circle to output device. Don't forget, we'll talk about the command words. Okay, command words are very, very important. So we have actuator, Blu-ray disc is chapter 3, storage media and devices, right? So Blu-ray is not it. Wrong. Cloud, chapter 4. You also see it in the end of chapter 3. Wrong. Keyboard is input. Wrong. Hard disk is storage, chapter 3. Wrong. I'm just letting you know which chapter it is so you know that if you want to answer a theory question, you must be conversant with the chapters, which is from chapter 1 to chapter 21. That is the reason why our videos is the best on the internet, because we try to break the textbook for you, because I know how tedious it is reading the whole textbook. Oh my goodness, like literally, how do I even begin? Oh my goodness. And you remember there's a Ajiro Tech. Oh, good, let's go in there. And we have a lot of resources on paper one, and that's why students have been doing massive in the IGCSE exam, because we are the only YouTube channel that provides you enough resources for people one. That is our bragging right, right? Then we look at SD card. SD card is also storage. Okay, because again, for SD card, you're looking at it as the solid state disks, and they fall under memory card. Webcam is input. So you have two things here. Okay, you have two things. You have um, printer, and you have actuator. Okay, so they fall under what? They fall under the what? The output. And it's important for you to know that I want to explain them really. I want to explain them so that you have a concept of what I'm talking about. Now, when it comes to, let me start with uh, the actuator. So the actuator really is an output device. So what the actuator does essentially is to carry out actions from the sensor. You know, we have the sensor, we have the microprocessor, and any instruction, right, is being carried out by that actuator. So um, this is very important, and you also see it in your textbook, right, in chapter 2 as well. So essentially, let me just put it here: actuators are used to control devices, right? They are used to control devices. Actuator used to control devices, right? That is why, like I said, I talked about the sensor, and then I talked about microprocessor, and then we have the actuator. Because, for example, the door opens, the door closes, there is a conveyor belt or valve that closes and open. It is usually necessary to use that actuator, right? If you want the conveyor to stop, if you want the conveyor to start, if you want the valve to open, if you want the valve to close, that is what the actuator does. Okay, so essentially it converts an electrical signal into a magnetic field, producing what we call the I think I remember the linear motion. Good, the linear motion. I'm giving you textbook stuff. All right. Then for printer, we have printer, and we have three types of printer. Okay, we have three types. You should know that we have three types of printer, right? So the three types of printer we have is we have one, we have the laser printer, we have the inkjet printer, and we have the dot matrix printer. Now let me explain everything real quick. When we talk about the laser printer produces high quality copy output. That's what it does. So we use the laser printer when we want to produce large numbers of pages. That's why they produce high quality hard copy output. And of course, um, it makes use of the toner. Okay, it makes use of the toner. Then we'll talk about the inkjet. The inkjet is used to produce good quality hard copies. It doesn't produce large copies because it does not have large buffer memories. So it's used to produce high quality on a single paper. If you want to produce colored or anything on a single paper, the inkjet printer is what you use. Okay, so that is what it is used for. Okay, it's used where low um, output volumes are required. And again, if the high quality printing is required for a single page, please take note of that. Then the dot matrix printer, right, is a type of impact printer where the print head can press against an equibond. Okay. It's also important for you to know that the dot matrix tends to be slow, right, noisy, and the output is not as good compared to what the inkjet or the laser. I'll give a good example. Your dot matrix printers are those ones you see in the supermarket when they print your steel receipt for you. So dot matrix are in a noisy environment. They are used where multiple stationaries, okay, where the multiple stationaries um, or carbon copies, okay, very important. All right, and of course, you can also say, if you want to say that they're very cheap and easy to maintain, right? It's not as expensive as the other ones. All right. So I hope this is very helpful to you. I need to just explain it. All right. Question 2. A computer system produces data by using application software and system software. Describe the following types. Take note. Describe the following type. Now, I think this is the perfect time to talk about the command words. I just want to explain the command words real quick and I'll be done with it, right? So that you should know how to address the command word. Very important. Please give me that opportunity to teach you, because most of the time students don't even know how they are to walk around with the command words. So we talk about describe. When we talk about describe, what do we mean? Now for describe, it means to state the point of a topic. So we have describe, state the point of a topic, right? So you can state the point of a topic or the characteristics or the key functions or the key features of it. So it's important. So I think as we keep going, I will just keep telling you the command words and what they mean, so that would really help you as you proceed. Okay, that would really help you as you proceed. Now let's look at this. Now we have two types of software, right? We have the application software and the system software. And now they're asking us for the types of the application software which they have given. Now it's important for you to understand that software generally, right, is a general term used for program. That's one. It's a general term used for program and that can control, right? That can control what? The computer system. So if the general term for program that can control the computer system and process data. Application software, on the other hand, together, let me write it down, provides the service or services that the user requires to solve a particular task. Can you see that? Right? So it provides the service that the user requires to solve a particular task. Now let's look at it. Now we have been given word processing, we have been given other ones. So let's explain what it is. Now they said describe. Now we are given 2 marks. So that's 2 points. Now let's look at it. Now when it comes to word processing, okay, when it comes to word processing, this is what you need to know, right? So for word processing, we have it like this. Again, for word processing, it is what? It's a text editor. You need to know that, right? It is one part of a text editor. Now, generally, when we talk about word processing, I want to explain word processing for you and then we extract the points. It is used to manipulate a text document. That's what word processing does. Used to manipulate a text document. That's why I can see the text editor, right? Such as an essay or a report. Okay, so let me put it here. Used to manipulate a text document. Okay, example, we have essay or report, right? Now again, of course, text is entered using what? Keyboard. So generally we use word processing for creating, editing, saving and manipulating text. It has the copy and paste function, spell check, and if I've done videos on document production, so go and check it out. I've taken my time to do the first variant and the second variant. I explain everything. Just go look at it. You will see the videos for document production in this video, right? So just go watch it and practice with it. All right. It also you can import photos, right? You can import photos into a structured page format, and there's even translation into foreign languages as well in word processing. So you should know that. Okay. All right. So we can now say that um, for word processing here, we have it as um, it allows creating, editing, and manipulating text. Okay. Are we learning? All right. So we can also say here that what it allows importing photos. Okay. It allows importing photos. For others, I always do talk about others. It is what you can say. I've talked about it here. It's creating, editing, and manipulating text. So you can see it allows creating or manipulating of text, and it allows what editing of text. So you can split this into two if you want to do that. So I think I've given enough point on that already. All right, let's look at the next one. Control system. Now, when we talk about control system, now we have what we call the control and measurement system. Now, what the control system does, let me explain both of them. Now, the control and measurement software is designed to allow, let me put it, the control and measurement software, so you can understand this, because they're always together, right? Is designed to allow a computer, okay, or microprocessor to interface, okay, with sensors. Then they now have their different function. What the control does is to compare the sensor data with the store data. Okay, so it compares and send out signal to alter what, process what, parameters. That's what it does. So we can see that what it is an automatic system. Okay, it is an what, automatic system, because it is what is done by the computer. Is comparing. It's what is done by the computer. Okay, so it can change its environment because it compares the data, right? It compares the data with what? It compares the sensor data with the data that has been stored. Okay, with the data that has been stored. So we see here that what it can what, change its environment, or we can say that is what it manages. It's control, right? It manages. It manages what? External hardwares. It manages what? External hardware. Okay, very important. Are we learning? Okay, it's very important for us to know that we are learning. Very important for me. Okay, let's look at apps. Let's look at apps. Now we have apps and applets. Now, when we talk about the applets, let me put it down here. When we talk about the applets, when we talk about the applets, okay, for the applet, they are what, small application. They are small what, application. Okay, that what performs a single task. that performs what? A single task. Okay, they perform that single task on that device. Right? It could just be a single page that prompts you to put your email. It could be a calculator. But when we talk about apps, they are fairly substantial tasks. For example, you have your video apps, your music app, your banking app. Take note, in IGCSE ICT, we don't talk about the product. We only talk about them in category. Okay, we don't mention any specific application. So we can say music streaming, video, banking application, or social media. Okay, so they can run on smartphones, right? And you can also download them from the App Store. Oh, sorry. No, App Store. Play Store too. Let's add the Android users. Okay, no offense to the Android users. No offense to the Android users. Okay, no offense. All right, it's fine. I'm sorry. Okay, all right. I should have mentioned both. All right. So we can see that when it comes to apps, okay, they can carry out um, you know specific tasks as well, because we have the video app. The music app is just to play music. It can't do anything more than music. The banking app is just carry banking function app. It can't do more than that. Okay, so it can also carry out, right, specific tasks. It is used to carry out specific tasks. Okay, so I have 2 marks. Another point, we can say that, all right, let's look at what we have explained. We can say again, they are a small piece of software. Okay, they are a small piece of software. Small piece of software. For others here, we can say it can be run. It can run on smartphones. Okay, it can run on smartphones. Data can be in two forms: analog or digital. Data can be in two forms: analog or digital. Now let's explain what these two of them mean. When we talk about analog, analog is in continuous form, while digital is what? Is discrete data. Take note, right? Why digital is what? Is discrete data. Now, when we talk about also for the analog, you need to also understand that for the analog, right? I talked about the fact that it's continuous. Why is it continuous form? Because it is a physical data that changes smoothly from one value to the next, right? So it changes from one value to another. That's why it's in continuous form. So analog is physical data. Take note. Analog is physical what? Data. Take note. Analog is physical data. But when we talk about digital, digital is what? Is discrete data. Okay, so it processes data in binary format, right? It processes data in what? In binary format. Let's explain why analog data needs to be converted to digital. The reason why it needs to be converted to digital so that it can be processed, because the only thing the computer understands is binary. The only thing the computer understands is binary. Don't understand anything else. Are we together? zeros and one. So that is one thing you can think of. So it can be processed, right? So it can be processed by the computer. I hope you can see my handwriting. Okay. Now, the other thing I said for others is that the computer, that's why, only understands okay discrete data. All right. Explain why digital data needs to be converted to analog. Since analog is continuous form, it's physical data, right? The reason why we need to now convert it to analog is so that because users, what people can understand, computer can understand binary, can understand what digital. Users can understand what? Tell me in the comment section. Users can understand what? Analog, correct. Users can understand what? Analog data. We can't understand what the computer is saying because they're all zeros and one, binary format. But for we to understand what the computer is saying, it needs to be interpreted. Take note, that was why I explained output device. I said the hardware that is capable of receiving data. And say I also talked about the fact that it can output data so that it can be what? Readable in human form. I said it here. If you are just joining here, look at it. So we can put it what? Into what? Human readable form. That's analog. Okay? So I said what? So we have users can understand analog data. You can also add something else, other. I always add more than 1 point, even though it's 1 point, because I'm not the one writing the exam. Okay? Because for analog, we talked about, we talked about this, the actuator, the motor. What do? They are used to what? Control. So once the computer sends that signal out, it goes directly to what? Back to the environment. Right? So it is used to control devices. Explain why. Okay, user can understand. Use to control what? Devices. Okay. Evaluate. Now, it's important for you to understand. Let's talk about explain so that you understand why I did what I did. Now, explain talks about state out the purpose. That's what explain does. Explain for the command word is to set out the purpose or reasons. Okay. Set out the purpose of a relationship. Okay. Relationship between things. Okay. And of course, we support them with relevant evidence. But we talk about evaluate. This most students fail evaluation. Evaluate talks about evaluate talks about to judge the quality, okay, or importance of something. If you want to judge the importance of anything, what do? You have to look at both the positive and both what? The negative. Are you with me? both the positive and both what? The negative. So this is very important. So here we have this. So let's look at this. Now they said, sorry, I didn't put the chapter for this. Sorry, I didn't put the chapter for this. Oh my goodness, this is chapter 1. Okay, this is chapter 1, types and components of computer systems. I always put my reference. So this is chapter 1. If you've been following me for a long period of time, you would know that I always put out my reference so that you know what is this wonderful tutor, one of the best in the world, talking about, and on whose reference or which chapter is it, so we can go back and check and take a look at it. So I always put out the reference for you. Now look at this. This is also chapter 1. Yes, this is also chapter 1. Sorry, this is also chapter 1. Okay, so this is types and components. Okay, components of computer systems. Please let me know if you can see my handwriting in the comment section. This is also chapter 1. Okay. Now evaluate the use of smartphone for making video calls. For making video calls. Evaluate the use of smartphone for making video calls. Now, smartphones. You will see that in chapter 1. It's like video conferencing, but you're using smartphones to do that. Okay, so this is chapter 1. Chapter 1. Types and components of computer system. Okay, so we'll do that. Now let's look at this. When we talk about the types and let's talk about where are we going to see it. We'll see it under types of computer. Now we have 4 types of computer. 4 types. Okay, so we have laptop. They're under mobile computers. We have desktop computers and we have mobile computers. Right now, under the mobile computers, we have your laptop. We have your tablet. We have your phablet, and we have your smartphone. Okay, so this is very important. Now let's look at this. When we talk about smartphones, right? They're all used to, both the smartphone, phablet, they are used to make calls. Okay, they have operating system like the iOS. Okay, I think it's only iOS. Sorry. There's Android. Yeah, there's Android. I don't have any beef against Android, right? Yeah, I think they're great, but I'm just a fan of iOS. So yeah, and then Windows, right? Because again, essentially, if you're doing paper 2 or paper 3, you use Windows, really, right? So it allows you to run a number of computer applications on it. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this. So we now know what a smartphone is. Okay, it can communicate with the internet by using Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi hotspot, or it can use your normal 4G or 5G mobile phone network. Okay, so we know this. Apart from the cameras are great, Bluetooth connection, cloud storage, and all that, right? High definition anti-glare display and all that. And this is not me marketing any phone. I'm not talking about any phone, really. We're just here to do people, really. Okay, so let's talk about this. So you want to make a video call. Evaluate the use of using a smartphone to make a video call. Now, you have to look at so many things. And I want to be practical here. I know I'm not supposed to talk about product, but I want to be practical here so it gives us an understanding. Let me know in the comment section. Tell me in the comment section right now, what video call apps do you use to make your video calls? What are the apps you use to make your video calls? Let me know in the comment section. I'll just give you 3 seconds to let me know in the comment section what apps you use for video calls. Right? Now, you will notice that the people who are typing right now in the comment section are either typing, we use WhatsApp, we use Discord, we use Skype, we use Zoom, okay, we use even the Google Meet, okay, we use Teams, the Microsoft Teams, and I'm pretty sure I've said some of the things you've typed in there. Some even go as far as telling me we use Instagram. We use I will say it. Snapchat. Oh, it's fine. I've said it. You're happy. Okay, good. Now, for making video calls, right? So let's evaluate the pros and cons. And this is something that is practical to you as a student, because every student watching me have made a video call. If you've not made a video call, I don't know. Well, you have, right? Okay, so let's talk about using smartphones because we're evaluating it. Now, with a video call, let's talk about benefit. Let's talk about benefit. Let's talk about benefit. Let's talk about benefit. Now, the first one is with a video call, you can have what? Group video call. You can have group video calls. What else? You can, it is portable. You're using a smartphone, right? You're using a smartphone. It's portable. So you can make a video call on the move, right? So yes, it is portable. It is portable. So we have to evaluate that. It is portable. How many? This is 6 marks. You don't need any other kind of, you don't need any external device. It's a smartphone. Smartphone has microphone, has camera built in. Right? You don't need that. Okay? You don't need that. Right? I'm currently using an iPhone 15, right? And it has everything. It has everything. Right? So you don't need, you do not need any other external device such as microphone or camera. Now, in terms of the calls are secured. Yeah, people use smartphones to make video calls with these video apps because there's more secure calls than doing the physical calls, right? So there's more security. So there's more security, right? More security in the calls. In the calls. All right. Let's look at drawbacks. Let's look at drawbacks. Now for drawbacks, it is a no-brainer when you are using it on the move, it's portable, right? So let's look at this portable. When you're using it on the move, what happens? Signals. You notice that most time there's a lag. Why? Because of potentially what? Loss of signal because you are in the move. If you're making a video call and you're traveling, yeah, you can encounter signal loss. Okay. So we can say signal can be lost when on the move, or when the device, let's be specific, when the device is on the move. Okay. Of course, you need a reliable internet connection. Need a reliable internet what? Connection. Okay. And you're using a smartphone, not a phablet. Take note. The difference between a tablet, phablet, and smartphone is the inch. And an iPhone mini is a smartphone. The iPhone 15 is a phablet, right? And of course, using a tablet right now, right, that has the Apple Intelligence, really, really cool, really cool. Apple Intelligence, really cool. I do a lot of things in my note, really. Let's focus on the lesson. Okay, right? So you need a what? So because the screen is small, it makes it difficult to see other people, other persons in the call, right? So let's see. Because the screen is small, makes it difficult to see the other persons in the call. Okay. All right. I think so this is for order. All right. A lot, and you're like, okay, do you have a private tuition? Don't you have? Do you have? And yes, Ajiro Tech do have a private tuition. So by my right, you can see that we have for the Edexcel and Cambridge IGCSE, and yes, we do have for all subjects. Okay, all subjects. Okay, the popular ones that's always been in demand is mathematics, English language as a second language. Okay, we have physics, we have biology, we have chemistry, and we have you know the flagship, which is ICT, just here and there. We also have business studies. So if you're interested for a private tuition, I think all you have to do is send an email to the sales team at ajirotech@gmail.com, and they would reply to you, talk about your time zone, talk about, and the fee is really quite affordable. Really, it's really quite affordable. It's when you look at it across other tutoring service, I think this is the one that's quite affordable, and you get the very best of service. We also have for the E levels as well, and also for the Edexcel. So we have for the Cambridge E levels and Edexcel E levels. Okay, and we have also across the subject mathematics, which is usually the hot cake when it comes to E level, mathematics and chemistry, and then biology. These are usually one of the ones we have in demand always, all the time, even physics, for A-level. So all you have to do, if you're watching this right now and you are interested for a private tuition, then you can do yourself a solid, okay, and send an email to the sales team at ajiro@gmail.com and they'll reply to you. Question 4. Computer software needs to be tested with normal, extreme, and abnormal data before it can be implemented. So this is chapter 7, right? Which is what? The systems. The system what? Life what? Cycle. SLC. And under the system cycle, we have the following. We have, work with me. Oh, I have enough of space here. Perfect. We have analysis. We have design. We have development and testing. All right. We have what? Implementation. We have what? Documentation. We have what? Evaluation. I know you say, sir, maintenance. Maintenance falls under evaluation. Please take note. Maintenance falls under evaluation. Are we are we good? Okay, so now this falls under testing. We have test strategies, we have test plan. We have test strategies, we have test plan, right? So it's important for you to know all these things. Okay, it's important for you to know all these things, and we're going to look at it, right? We're going to look at it here. Very important. We're going to look at it now. I will just talk about we'll talk about test strategies. They're in modules, right? You're testing the software. The softwares are broken down into modules. The module means parts, and you test them individually. But when we talk about test plan, we're talking about a checklist. We are simply talking about a what? Of a checklist that is used in testing the system. Okay, that is used in what? In testing the system. So, for example, the type of test data to be used, that's one of them that goes into what? The test plan, right? The type of test data to be used, the list of all testing to be performed, right? Check, what I said, it's the type of test data that is designed to check. I want to refer you to here to what I'm talking about. The type of test data, right, that is used to check to see if the data, if the system is what is working perfectly. Now, let me explain what it means to be normal data, abnormal data, or extreme data. Now, let's look at it. When we talk about a normal data, now, normal data simply means that what? This is what? An acceptable. Is an acceptable, okay, an acceptable data and has a what? An expected what? Outcome or known outcome or what? Known what? Outcome. Okay. So let me give you a good example. Let's look at the days of the month. Days of the month is January to what? December. The acceptable data will be February to what? November. This will be acceptable data, right? Or test scores 1 to 10. The acceptable data will be 2 to 9. Okay. Now we'll talk about extreme. For extreme data, it is the data It is what? The data at the limit. At the limit of what? Acceptability. At the limit of acceptability, or if you want to look at it, validity. Okay. It's important for you to know that when it comes to extreme data, it is what? It has only two end values. It has only it has what? Only two end values. Okay, which is what? The beginning, which is the beginning or the ending. So now let's look at the month of the year. For extreme, you have it as what? January and or December. For test scores, 1/10 is extreme. What? I didn't do well. 1/10. My goodness. 10/10. That's extreme. Child is too bright. I do like it. I do like that extreme. But yeah. Okay. Then let's talk about abnormal. Oh my goodness. Abnormal. Now, the word abnormal should tell you it's not even a good thing. Right? Let's look at abnormal. Are we having a good time? So just let me know in the comment section, right? Abnormal. So for abnormal, right? Data, right? It is the data outside the limit of what? The limit of what? Acceptability or validity. And should please, if I can put that, should be rejected, right? Or cause an error message. Now, let me give you an example. Month of the year, 1 to 12, right? You have 0, is abnormal. You have -1, is abnormal. You have 45. What? There's no month that is 45. We have January, which is 1 to 12. There's no 45 month. Right? Or you are giving a specific value. You have 1 to 12. You're now putting January. Okay. Then you have test scores. A child is having 0/10. That's abnormal. 0/10 is abnormal. -5. What? What? That's abnormal. Or 20/10. Oh God. How? How did that happen? Right? So it's abnormal. So are we learning? Okay. So those are the examples I've given for the abnormal. Okay. Let's go back. Explain what is meant by extreme test data. Okay. Extreme. So we'll see what one way to give that is what? Data at the limit. Okay. Of what? Acceptability. Data at the limit of what? Data at the limit of what? Acceptability. Okay, so that's what we have. Right? So that's what it means by extreme test data. An input this is question 4b. An input into the software is an integer between 1 to 10. The software uses a range check to test this value as it is entered. Now, you will see this in chapter 7. Okay? The system's life cycle. Okay? Now, you should know that under design view, this falls under design. We will talk about validation routines. We have various kinds of check: present check, type check, format check, and all that. Now, when we talk about the range check, right? It simply checks data in a given what? In a given range. That's what it does. It checks data what? In a given what? Range. So it checks to see if the data input, right, lies between the acceptable, it's a range, the acceptable upper value and acceptable what? Lower value. Are we together? Right? So for example, you're given a range. So now let's look at this. Say, state one piece of test data from each of the following that will be used to test the range check. To test the range check is working normally. So we're given normal, with the information of land on normal data, which is the acceptable data. Now I want you to, everybody is going to answer this for me. Okay. Now, acceptable data and has what? An expected outcome. Now, using the range 1 to 10, which will now be the normal test data. Okay. So this will be what? You can put in, they said, state one piece of test data from each of the following that will be used to test the range check is working correctly. So tell me in the comment section, which will it be for normal test data? Give me, yes. Right. I'm going to count to 5 seconds. 1, 2, type in the comment section. 3, 4, and 5. So we can have 5, right? We can have, I'm just doing that 5, or we can have 7, or 6, or 2, or 4. You get it, right? So any integer from 1 to 10, take note, any integer, so it's going to be positive between that 1 to 10 is a normal test data. But extreme data, we said, is the data of what? At the limit of acceptability or validity and has 2 end values, which is what? In this case, what will it be? What would the extreme, let me know in the comments section, what would the extreme data be? 1, I'm counting to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. So now you have 1. You have 1. Okay, or you have 10. Abnormal, right? So you could have -1. Anything below 1, anything above 10, you could have, abnormal could be this, 1. Abnormal could be this, -20. Abnormal could be this, 45. Okay. Abnormal could be symbol, 45%. All those things are abnormal. Okay. All those things are abnormal. Abnormal. Question 5. Viewers can watch movie by video streaming. One of the issues with video streaming can be a reduction in quality due to file compression. Discuss the use of video streaming to watch movies. Now, I know I talked about command word. When we talk about discuss, how many marks is this? 6 marks. We'll talk about discuss. Discuss simply means Okay, discuss means to write about, right? Write about issues or topics in depth in a structured way. Can you see that? In a structured way. Now you see this in chapter 6. Okay, ICT application. Specifically under communications. So I'm being specific now. Under communications. You see that under what? Under communications. So now if you look at it, now, work with me on this. When we talk about video streaming, right, or streaming generally, it simply means that number one, that particular thing you're watching is not on that device, right? And you need what? Internet to be able to watch, to be able to stream, and it's going to buffer. Are you with me? It's going to what? It's going to what? It's going to buffer. So these are the things that you need to know when it comes to what? To what? Streaming. They all fall under what we call. Well, what can I write? I need to write. I always write. Can I write here? All right, so let me write here. Where we will call media streaming. Whether it's video streaming or audio streaming. So it is media streaming is when the users watch movies, okay, or videos. In this case, it's video streaming, or listen to music, audio streaming on devices connected to the internet. Okay, so there's no need to download to actually download it or save the video. Then what we call, I talked about the fact that there's buffering, so it's able to give you a playback. Are we together? Okay, because with streaming, the files is sent as series of packet of data. So each packet is interpreted by the web browser. What is packet? Chapter 4, right? Data that is sent on the network. So streaming only works well if the internet speed is stable or at least 25 megabits per second for an high definition video. FYI, for your information. Okay. All right. Well, we're having a good time, really. Just let me know. We're having a good time. That's what we do here, really. Okay, so let's evaluate this. So, okay, so you want to watch a movie. All right, so what movie do you have in mind? Okay, so the one I'm currently watching is all right, okay. It's Wednesday. Okay, fine. Okay, good. I've said it. Wednesday. Okay. All right. Okay. Going back to school, trying to solve a crime. Okay. Let's come back to what we are doing. Yeah, it's Wednesday already, but yeah, not this Wednesday. Okay, so let's go ahead. So let's discuss. Now, for us to be able, because we are writing about issues or in depth. So for us, we are discussing the use. So we have to now talk about the benefits. That's why I talked about the command word. We're writing about issues of the topic. So if you write about issues, you want to know what's the benefit of this topic? What's the drawback? In the evaluation, we talked about benefits and drawbacks. We're talking about supporting and against. So we want to talk about it as well here. So let's look at this. So the use of video streaming to watch movie. Okay. Again, you can view the video without downloading it, right? Okay. I talked about it. So you can watch the video without downloading, thereby saving physical or saving, no, don't say physical, saving, we have cloud, saving storage space. So you can watch Wednesday on Netflix. Sorry. Oh God. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Okay, so you can watch the video without downloading, thereby saving the storage space. Okay. All right. Okay, so ignore I said the other one. All right. Okay. So let's look at this. What's the next one? Right? Allows the user. That's the beauty. You can connect from anywhere in the world using a device with an internet connection. Right? Okay. Can connect from anywhere in the world using a device with an internet connection. Okay. Can we say that with video streaming, we have more videos available than physical discs? I mean, there are so many videos on the internet, right? So many videos on the internet. Okay, so more videos are available, okay, than physical discs. Okay, and I know it's 6 marks. I've talked about two. I need to talk about let me just add this somewhere as another benefit, which is very important. It allows okay the user to have updated movies. Okay, the first 4 episodes of Wednesday is out. Ajiro talking about Wednesday, so you can have updated movies. Okay, updated movies, right? So it's updated. So if new episodes are coming out before the fiscal, it will be available for fiscal discs, fiscal on the fiscal stores for you to have it. You already have it. You already have the movies or the TV series on the internet. Okay, let's talk about drawbacks. Okay, now it is a no-brainer. You need what? Needs a reliable internet connection. Okay. Now the disadvantage here that people would see is the fact that you don't own the video. Unlike when you buy it. If you buy it, you own it. It's yours. So it simply means that it can be deleted from their server and you won't have access to it. You won't have access to it. Right? So the user does not own the video. I hate to admit it, but in your Netflix, I'm sorry, you'll be paying monthly subscription. You know this already. That's a drawback. You will pay. It's not free. Right? In your Apple TV, you pay what? A monthly subscription. I left Apple TV, I went for Netflix for good reasons. I reserve my comment. Okay, so you pay for it. Right? Literally, you pay for it, right? I have nothing against Apple TV, just that the movies are really restricted. Okay, really restricted. Okay. All right. So again, there is a what? A monthly. There's a monthly subscription to pay. Are we learning? I want you to learn. Okay. And of course, since you are streaming, right, you might experience what we call lagging, right? If the internet is not stable. Okay, so I can, okay. Siri, I'm not asking you anything. Just thank you. Good. So here you can see that for order, okay, it is more liable to lagging if your internet is unstable. So are we having a good time? Really? Are we having a good time? Just let me know in the comment section if you're having a good time, because I'm having a good time. I don't know about you. Are you having a good time? All right. Explain what is meant by file compression. Explain what is meant by file compression. You see this in chapter 11. File management. So file compression in simple terms simply means that is the process in which the file is reduced, okay, when sending out these files so that we can be able to send them on the internet. So you can have large amount of files and we can compress them. So there are various ways in which you can compress. We compress them in .zip or .rar. We call the RAR is Russia archive. The Russia's archive. Okay, so that's what it means. Do we get that? All right. So here we can see that, let's put that process in which the file size is reduced. Okay. Of course, while still maintaining that integrity, while keeping the file integrity. Okay. Again, with this, we can be able to create a smaller file for computer storage. So if that image is large, what do? You compress it while you are still keeping that integrity of that image. Okay. And because you are compressing, transferring of that file becomes what? Quicker. It allows quicker transfer of the file, thereby reducing lag. Okay. Many taxis now use satellite navigation system. Taxis evaluate. We've talked about when you are judging something. I talked about it here. Where is it? Yeah, I think somewhere here. Yes, to judge the quality and importance of something. So taxis are now using satellite navigation system. Um um we have the auto Tesla taxi that drives you automatically. We call it autonomous vehicles. Something you see in chapter 5, right? So many taxis now use satellite navigation systems. Evaluate the use of satellite navigation system for taxis. So this is what chapter 6. ICT applications. Now, under the ICT application, we'll see it under what? Satellite what? Navigation. Right? Which is the last part of ICT application. I think that's 6.11 or something. If you go to your textbook, maybe you tell me, I'm not sure. So you see that because under the satellite system, we have two things. We have the GPS and the satellite navigation system, right? So the GPS is a software, right? The GPS is the software that we use to determine the exact locations of uh, numbers of transport, right? So normally cars make use of GPS as a satellite navigation system. What you call what? The sat nav. What you call what? The sat nav. They use it to be able to look for locations. Okay, and of course it is owned and run by the US, right? Why I think Russia has Russia also has, and of course the Europe also has their own. I think Europe own is Galileo. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so let's evaluate it, right? So we now know what the sat nav does, the GPS with the sat nav, right? To determine exact location of a number of what transport. So the satellite surrounds the Earth, right? If you probably learn this in geography, surrounds the Earth. So it transmits signal to the surface. So let's say, for example, this is the Earth here, right? So you have your satellite here. I don't know what I'm drawing. Don't laugh. Don't you dare laugh. Okay, so you have something like this. I'm not your art and design teacher, right? Right. So this is the Earth. I know, right? Wow, wow. Okay, you will be fine. Okay. So now what happens is this, right? So listen to the explanation, right? So it surrounds the Earth, transmits signal to the surface. So now the computers installed in the mode of transport would the computers installed on them, right? If you notice if your dad is driving you, you see the satellite and everything, right? What it does, it receives and interprets these signals. And each satellite transmits data indicating its position and time. You need to know that satellites need very accurate timing in order to know their positions and relate to the Earth. They need to know. So they use what's that thing they use? Atomic clock. That atomic clock is accurate to billions. Let me put it. I'm teaching history. To billion of a second per day. The computer on the board of transport calculates the exact position based on the information from at least 3 satellites. Did you get that? Okay. But now in serious business. Okay. So let's evaluate. So we're going to look at the benefit. To evaluate the use of satellite navigation system for taxis. Benefit. It is more updated. Than physical maps. You can find the fastest route. Okay, because it's taxes. Okay, you can also use the geography information system, right, which is your Google Earth, to show road closure. Right, can use the GIS, which is geographic information system, to show road closure. Okay, and this is very important. That's why people use the sat nav. I'll add this for others. The driver does not have to memorize all routes. It can also tell the driver how long it will take to get to that destination. How long and what's the cost. That's why we have your Uber, right? It will tell you, okay, I'm going from this particular location to this particular location. It's going to cost you £40. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's look at drawbacks. For you to get the updated map, right? Take note, it requires the driver to download the updated map, which is a drawback. So if you don't know how to update, you might just be entering into something that does not exist anymore. While you are using the map, apply common sense. Yeah. I have seen somebody drove someone to a place and the place has been redirected. So use common sense. Sometimes there could be a glitch in the system. Right? There could be a glitch in the system. Okay. Okay. This is not out of point, but you can lose the satellite signal in certain areas. Okay, in certain areas. Okay, and of course, is of course, please, is very dangerous to set up the system while striving. Okay, so please let's take note of that. I think we've talked about it too much. All right. Explain, giving examples, the purpose of a corporate house style. Okay, the purpose of what? A corporate house style. Now look at it. You see this in chapter 14. See what I told you, it covers from chapter 1 to 21. Styles. Okay, chapter 14, styles. Now let's look at this. And this is specifically for paper 2, right? If you're talking about document production, good. And I've done video on document production. It's right there. You see the video description there. The links are there. Just go through, learn, just learn and understand. We're not just here to solve past paper. I'm here to teach you so you understand. Okay. Now we'll talk about the corporate house style. A house style is used to make sure. Let me explain this to you. A house style is used to make sure that all documents. Let me write it. Let me write it. Where can I write it? A house style, okay, is used to make sure, okay, that all documents, okay, from an organization have consistency. If you see a newsletter from Apple, you know it's Apple. If you see a newsletter from Google, you know it's Google. Okay. Now, the whole idea of the house style is to save time in planning, setting up, creating, formatting document. It supports brand recognition and of course reduce the risk of mistake in document. Now, so I have to explain, giving example, the purpose of a corporate house style, which is what I've a good example is a typo error in address or telephone number. So let's look at this. So let me explain. For explanation, you have used to make. Okay, so I just noticed that some things, the audio was not being recorded when I was talking about some of the things here in chapter 7. So I talked about that. I think I explained. I think it was clear. Used to make, but I've explained the whole concept. Used to make all document and other material have consistency, and I also added that it saves time in planning, setting up and formatting the document, which I explained. And then I said, okay, examples of them are the consistent font size, because when we are doing our document production, you know, they always ask you create the style. So all you are doing here, when you apply the style to the body, everything is the same, with the same font size, with the same font style, and if you're adding font colors as well, okay, or the consistent placing of the image. Are we together? So these are examples of the purpose of why we have to use corporate house style. Are we together? Because the audio, when I was writing, I noticed that it was off. Okay, so that is what I meant by that. I hope that is understood. So consistent font size used, consistent font style, and of course the consistent color used. Question 8. State the method of implementation from the following description. So you see this in what? In chapter 7. Chapter 7, the systems life cycle, SLC. Now, under implementation, we have 4 types. Please take note. Under implementation, we have what? We have 4 types. The first one is direct implementation. Okay. Then we have parallel implementation. Right. Then we have phase implementation. And then we have what? Pilot implementation. So these are the changeovers to the new system. Remember, when we are transferring files or electronic files to the new system, there are 3 ways we can do that. We can scan in the document. Yes, tell me in the comment section. We can key in the data. Okay, and we can download files to the new database. Now, I want to explain everything so you can tell me what they are. For the direct implementation, okay, or the direct changeover, now, the old system is stopped overnight and the new system introduced immediately. That's the direct changeover. The old system stopped, in fact, it's been stopped and the new system is introduced immediately. Now, in terms of benefits, we can see that this method can be disastrous if the new system fails. However, the benefits are immediately. But for parallel, right, the old and new system are running concurrently for a time period before the new system takes over. Now, the benefit of this is it gives the users time to learn the new system. But however, disadvantage is that the data are imputed twice into the old system and into the new system. Okay. Then pilot. Okay. For pilot implementation or pilot running, right? We see that the new system is introduced only at one branch of the organization. And they assess the performance before they now introduce the new system to every part of the organization. So if the system fails, it's only affecting one branch of the organization. And with this pilot implementation or pilot running, the staffs are able to now learn the new system. This is only one place, which is more faster and it will cost less than parallel, which 2 systems are. But this one, now instead of 2 systems running in every organization, they are now implementing it only in one branch of the organization. Are you with me? But phase implementation, right? They are bringing it part by part. One part of the system is introduced, and when it works, when that part works satisfactorily, right, the next part is being brought in until the old system is being phased out or replaced. Now, the good thing about this is if any of the part fails, they can go back to the point of failure where, in that case, failure is not disastrous. But take note, it's more expensive than direct because you have to evaluate each phase and it's time consuming because every part needs to be fully tested. Okay, but it is also possible to ensure that everything is working properly before expanding, which is good. But it is time consuming and it's expensive. So take note of that. Now I've explained everything. So you tell me in the comment section. So we have 8A. So put the question there and tell me. The old system and the new system runs together until the whole of the new system is implemented. Which one is it? Okay. All right. So I'm going to put the answer here. And if you did that, congratulations. The new system is implemented one branch at a time. Which one is it? Tell me in the comment section. Okay, so we have it what? A pilot. Or running. The new system is implemented one process at a time. The new system is implemented one process at a time. Which is it? Phased implementation. Congratulations. All right, let's look at the next one. A local area network uses hubs. So this is chapter 4, networks and the effect of using them. Okay, so we have that. Networks and the effect of what? Using them. So let's look at it. Now, under the networks and the effects of using them, we have various types. So let's look at it generally. We have types of networks. Normally, we have the local area network, we have the wireless local area network, and we have what? The wide area network. So these are the types of networks. These are the types of networks that we have. So please take note. These are network types. But when we talk about the hubs, right, we see them as those common, right, common network devices, and then we cannot explain the terms. Now, let's look at this. We have hubs. Now, a hub is a hardware device, and it has a number of other devices connected to them. Okay. Now, we talked about the local area. They are primarily used to form the local area network, right? However, for the hubs, it's important to know that when the data packet is sent to one of its ports, it broadcasts it to every device connected to it. But now we want to know what is the purpose, what I've explained. What is the purpose of the hub? Okay. Now, let's look at it. The first one is what I've talked about. Okay. It is what? A hardware device. A hardware device okay, that receives that when receives data packets in one of its ports, broadcast the data to every device connected to it. Okay. We also see that it extends a network. It extends a network. It can also act, please take note, as a repeater. To amplify signals, which can go long distance, right? All right. The second part, describe one drawback of using a hub on the local area network. Now, one that you can think of without thinking too much is it cannot differentiate. Unlike the switch has what we call the what? The media access control address, which can differentiate. But with the hub, it sends to every device connected, so it cannot differentiate. Do you understand? It cannot differentiate. I want you to hope you can see my handwriting. Cannot differentiate between the devices on the network. Okay? Because it broadcasts to all devices connected to it. All right. Question 10. During the analysis of a coin system, research needs to be carried out. Okay? During the analysis of a coin system, research needs to be carried out. Right? Now let's look at it. This is what? Chapter 7. The system's life cycle. And under this, we're looking at it at what? Analysis. Okay? Describe the characteristics of each of the following research method. Now we have research method and we have the analysis phase. Let me explain what I'm talking about so you have a clear picture of what I'm saying, because this would really help you a lot. Now, when we talk about the analysis, right? So we have the stages in analysis. Take note, we have the stages in analysis. The stage in analysis is one, researching the current system, right? So we have researching the current system. Where can I write it? Right? Research the current system. We have identification of input and output, what processes takes place, problem with the current system, user requirement for the new system, what are the information requirements? Okay, what are the information requirements? What are the requirements of the new system, and identifying the hardware and software of the new system. But when we talk about analyzing the current system, there are 4 methods on how we can research those methods. We have observation, we have interviews, we have questionnaires, and we have looking or examination of what? The existing document. Now, let me explain this. For observation, it involves watching the personnel using the existing system, okay, to find out exactly how it works. With this method, you can obtain reliable data. But in this method, there's a Houghton effect because people don't like when they are being watched. We have interviews where it involves a one-to-one question and answer between the interviewer and the interviewee, where the interviewer is able to probe for more feedback. For the interviewee, it gives opportunity to be open and give honest answer to the interviewer's question on the analysis questions. However, it's a time-consuming process because the interviewer will have to go through everybody to get feedback on the system. Then we have questionnaires. Questionnaire talks about distributing a survey, right, to the personnel that are using the system to know more about the system, how it works. is, we can say that it's very quick because it's easy to fill, right? Since people are anonymous, they might want to be honest, right? However, not everybody is going to return it. And because it's anonymous, people will not take it seriously. But looking at the existing document, this involves only the system analyst to see how the existing files are kept. The analyst is able to check through the manual of how the system was built. The analyst is able to obtain reliable information that was not possible in any of those other three that I've talked about. Let me give you an example. Scale of the problem, memory size requirement, type of input, output devices needed. So here you can see that the analyst is able to obtain information that was not possible in other methods, but it's a very time-consuming process and expensive as well. Okay, so with what I've explained, let's look at um, the characteristics of them. And there are these 2 marks, so that's 2 points. So let's look at it. One, right? It involves what? Involves watching people use the current system. Okay? To see how it works. Another one, it allows the system analyst to obtain reliable data. Okay? Such as the input, process, and output of the current system. All right, that's 2 marks. Now let's look at interview. Okay, it involves involves one-to-one question and answer. One-to-one question and answer. Okay, between the system analyst which is the interviewer, and the personnels, which is what? The interviewee. Okay. It also allows the system analyst are we learning? The system analyst to probe okay, to probe for more feedback. For more feedback from the interviewee, okay, from the interviewee. That is, questions can be extended. Unlike questionnaire, you can't probe. Now, one of the reasons why I'm doing is to show you how to answer questions and how to get your mark. That's why we are the best YouTube channel ever. Because we do a complete course for you. So you can know how to have an A star. And that's why we had 64. Right? As of 64 and counting. I think 64 or 65 A stars. And then 48 A's across board. Okay. Following the analysis, design of the new system will take place. Identify 4 items that needs to be produced as part of the design of the new system. Okay? As part of the design of the new. Now, you know that under design, we have the following. What are the following there? I'll just write it for you. We have the file structure. We have data structure. File structure about the database. Data structure about data types. We have the input format. We have the output format. And for others, we have validation routines. Are we together? Okay. Now the input format talks about what you send into. The output talks about the input format talks about the data capture format, and the output format talks about the report layout, right? So wait, so this is also chapter 7. I'm just saying this is also chapter 7. Okay, system life cycle. Following the implementation of the new system, it needs to be tested. This is also chapter 7. Okay, let me specify this design. I think this was analysis. Chapter 7, systems life cycle. This is what? Development and testing. Explain why the new system needs to be tested. So let's explain why. We need to test it. Why do we need to test it? To make sure it produces the correct output. You know, we talked about test plan. That's the reason why we do. That's the reason why we do test plan. That's the reason. Okay. So, one, to make sure it produces the correct what? Output. Known outcomes, right? And then it removes to remove any error. That's why we have the test strategies, we have the test plan. Any errors from the new system. And then what? We now do that modular testing, right? We test them. If there's any error, we modify it and we test before we now combine them into a final program. So we check the software. We check the software. Does not crash. Okay? Check that software does not crash. A test plan. So this is what? This is also chapter 7. Development and testing. A test plan includes expected outcome of a test. Now they now said, write down 3 other elements found in a test plan. Now let me just list everything for you. A list of what tests to be performed. Okay. What data is to be used. What data is to be used in what? In the testing. Okay. We have the type of testing the data is designed to check. What live data should be used. Do the actual outcome match what is expected? We've talked about the expected outcome, which is what the expected outcome are from the what? Testing. Now look at this. So what other elements? We have actual outcomes, like I've talked about, actual outcomes. Okay. Reason for testing. Test data. A lot, and you're like, okay, do you have a private tuition? Don't you have? Do you have? And yes, Ajiro Tech do have a private tuition. So by my right, you can see that we have for the Edexcel and Cambridge IGCSE, and yes, we do have for all subjects. Okay, all subjects. Okay, the popular ones that's always been in demand is mathematics, English language as a second language. Okay, we have physics, we have biology, we have chemistry, and we have you know the flagship, which is ICT, just here and there. We also have business studies. So if you're interested for a private tuition, I think all you have to do is send an email to the sales team at ajirotech@gmail.com, and they would reply to you, talk about your time zone, talk about and the fees really quite affordable. Really, it's really quite affordable. It's when you look at it across other tutoring service, I think this is the one that's quite affordable and you get the very best of service. We also have for the E-levels as well, and also for the Edexcel. So we have for the Cambridge E-levels and Edexcel E-levels. Okay, and we have also across the subject mathematics, which is usually the hot cake when it comes to E-level, mathematics and chemistry, and then biology. These are usually one of the ones we have in demand always, all the time, even physics, for E-level. So all you have to do, if you're watching this right now and you are interested for a private tuition, then you can do yourself a solid, okay, and send an email to the sales team at ajiro@gmail.com and they'll reply to you. A student is typing a report for his biology coursework and needs to check his spellings for error. The student could use a spell check software. Okay, explain how spell check software works. Now we'll see this in chapter chapter 15, proofing. Right? And I explained this in the document production video that we did. I explained that in the document production video that we did on spell check and grammar check. I explained that on what spell check and what grammar check. So when we talk about spell check, you are actually checking that okay, the errors, the what you have typed is actually what correct. Okay, it's actually what correct. This is very important, right? And it's important for you to know that um, the spell check is carried out by the software. I'm trying to explain everything, right? It's carried out by the software. Okay, so which is often the word processor, yeah, and it checks each word and compares it to those in its dictionary. If the word match, then the software moves on and check the next word. I'm explaining how spell check software works. It's carried out by the software. Um, it checks each and compares it to those held in its dictionary. If the word match, then the software moves on and checks the next word. If the word does not match the one in the dictionary, then it uses a red wavy line. Right? You see something like this, a red wavy line. Yes, a red wavy line. Okay. Underline to highlight the word to suggest it may be what? An error. Okay, so okay. So let's see how we can put it. So here it compares the word to those held in its dictionary. Okay. And what happens if the word what match okay, then the software moves on, okay, to the next. If the words does not match does not match one in the dictionary, okay, then it uses a red wavy underline. Okay, a red what? Wavy what? Underline to highlight the word. Sometimes the spell check software highlights the word or changes the word which are correctly spelled. Explain why this could have occurred. Sometimes the spell check highlights the word or changes the word which are correctly spelled. One, a good example is your name. Aliyah might not be in the dictionary, right? Might not be in the dictionary. Fatima might not be in the dictionary. Sujan might not be. So it does not appear in the dictionary. Okay. The word may be a person's name. Okay. I can do for others. The word which is very common. The word may be mistaken for another word. Okay. Might be mistaken for another word. Okay. When sending emails, users should follow Netiquette. Okay. Users should follow what? Netiquette. Now, this you see this in chapter 10. Chapter 10 what? Communications. Chapter 10 communications. That's where you're going to see it. So what's in Netiquette? I know, and I think I need to dwell on this because a lot of students probably don't understand what this means. Chapter 10, also writing, communication. When we talk about netiquette, it's important for you to understand. It's important for you to understand that netiquette simply means. Let me break this down for you. Let me break this down for you. Netiquette simply means internet. Sorry, I want to give you the correct abbreviation. It means internet air. Okay, etiquette. So that's why you have it. Net ticket. That's what it means. Which refers to the need to respect other users' view. Right? Respect other users' view. Okay. And display common courtesy when posting views in online discussion or when sending out what? Emails. Please know that. Okay. So display common courtesy. Display what? Common courtesy. When posting views in what? Online discussion groups. So we are simply saying that it is the correct way, acceptable way of communicating over the internet. That's what we are trying to say. And there are so many things in etiquette. Do not be abusive. Don't threaten people. Most of you threaten people on the internet. Don't send spam. You send it the same message over and over again. You have to be clear and source it with your message. Remember that your posts are public in most cases and can be read by anyone. Respect people's privacy. Respect people's privacy. Do not discuss or publish information that might embarrass somebody. Don't do it. Don't do it. There's no gain. Forgive people's mistakes. Okay? So do not be compelled to respond to an error. Do not use capital letter to highlight comments. It is seen as shouting in emails, in text messages, or online forums. Do not plagiarize. Always acknowledge. People plagiarize people's work. And this is where it's a good opportunity to talk about you probably see it on the screen, the teacher's combo plan. Something I've prepared over the years so that you can have license to use it in your classroom. I think one of the sales team, but it has come to some teachers are using people's material without authorization. They are cheaters and plagiarizers. That's who they are. That's who she is. That's who he is. When you use people's work without authorization, you don't get permission from them. You are a plagiarizer. And that's what the teacher's common plan is. That's why it's okay. Let's make it available to everybody. Let me just keep to ourselves. And it's for affordable if the fee is going to go up, so that you have the receipt from us, the proof of payment that you have successfully purchased this combo plan. So we don't take you to court. Yeah, we don't. So it's important. Okay? So please, not just any material, but right, always get permission. Please, always get permission. Okay? Very important. And don't use too many emoticons, right? They might annoy your readers. All right. One of the rules of Netiquette is to avoid sending the same message repeatedly. As this, I talked about spam. Yes, I talked about it. As this is considered to be spam, describe, giving an example, 3 other rules used in Netiquette. I've said them. Okay. Giving an what? Example. What was the first one I said? Do not be what? Do not be abusive. Do not be what? Abusive. Okay. Example. Threatening people. Or using personal violence. Okay. The next one is Remember that posts are public in most cases and can be read by anyone. Okay. So this is still chapter 10. Just want to make sure. Chapter 10, communication. Okay. Example is your personal data, such as home address. I don't expect you to put your home address on your social media. For what? Who are you trying to impress? They will come and they will break in. Right? So I don't expect you to do that. Okay? You don't have to. Personal data should be off. Should be off. Right? All right. The next one is respect people privacy. Respect people privacy and do not discuss or publish information that might embarrass them. Okay? So respect people's privacy. Okay? That is example is sending out information about your classmates that might embarrass them. So you know those informations you want to send that will make them. Please don't do that. We've seen students who have committed suicide because of an information. Jokingly, you sent an information about them, right? A good example is the nudes you send. Nudes. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do something because it's funny, it's this, and it ends up hurting your classmate. You would live to regret it. Please. You would live to regret it. Don't do it. If you have done it before and you're hearing my voice, please stop. I beg you. Don't be the reason somebody's hurt. Don't be the reason somebody is going to lose his or her life. You saw in the Christian Bible when they said Judas betrayed Jesus. What happened to him when he sent out that information about Jesus? What happened to him? He committed suicide. Please, he regretted. Don't be the reason. I don't know who needs to hear me. I don't know who is hearing me right now. If you have done it before, don't do it again. Because you would live all your life to regret it. Please, I'm begging you. All right. Question 13a. Describe what is meant by hacking. So this is chapter 8, safety and security. Now, under the safety and security, you need to know this. Under the safety and security, you should know that we have three of them. So we have um, the physical safety rather. We have the physical safety. We have the electronic safety, and we have security of data. So they are split into three. Okay. So the one we are talking about now is under the security of data. Under the security of data, we have them as two. We have data threat, right? All the data threat. And then when we talk about the data threat, okay, we now talk about protection of data. Okay, how can we now protect our how can we now protect this what? How can we now protect this data? Although so let's talk about them. I just want to just talk about both of them so you have an understanding of them. So what are those data threats? One of them is the hacking. Okay, we have phishing, we have vishing, smishing, farming, viruses, malware, card fraud, the card fraud. Okay, phishing talks about sending illegitimate looking email just to get someone's personal information. Vishing talks about voicemail phishing. Smish talks about SMS phishing. Farming talks about selling malicious code that redirects people. Okay, so the what you are doing is a malicious code is installed, okay, on a user computer, right, or on a user server. So each time you are visiting a site, it redirects you to what? A fake website without your knowledge, or with the intention of getting what? Your personal information. And we have a whole lot of them. We have the malware. Under the malware, we have viruses, ransomware, adware, worms, Trojan horse, keyloggers, and so on. Card fraud, card cloning, and all that. Shoulder surfing and all that, right? So let's focus on what we are here for, which is what? The hacking. Now, it's important for you to know that we have name of security risk, which is the hacking, description of security risk, which is what? Gaining unauthorized or illegal access to the computer system, possible effect, identity theft, data can be deleted, and then we look at the methods to help remove the security risk, which is use of firewall or use of a strong password or user what? IDs. Okay, so let's talk about what it means, and this is just 2 marks. Okay, so here you have what, just like I've said. So let's write it down, right? Let's write it down. So it means gaining, okay, gaining unauthorized access, okay, unauthorized access um, to a computer system, okay, and it's 2 marks. So let's look at it. So again, it can be used for what? Identity theft, right? Identity theft. So take note of that. So um, this can lead to what? Identity theft. Just spell my identity theft. Identity theft. Okay. Or the misuse of personal information. For others, right? Data can be deleted, okay, changed, or corrupted. All right, so the next one is what? One method of preventing a system being hacked is the use of passwords. Describe the password. So one method of what? Prevent it is the use of password. Okay. Describe the password rules that should be put in place to reduce the threat of hacking. Now, this is protection. The use of passwords. This is for protection. Okay. Still chapter 10. It's still chapter 10. Communications. And then we have what? Protection. Okay. We have protection. So again, the use of okay, the rules. So use of strong password. So what makes a strong password? Words, number, special symbols, right? So use of strong passwords. And again, please ensure that your passwords do not contain personal information. Okay, do not contain personal information. Okay, and again, please try to change your password frequently. Okay, change password what frequently. Frequently. For one order I can think of is you can use biometric password instead. Use of biometrics, because biometric talks about using what your unique features as what passwords. A good example is your what fingerprint, retina or iris scan, voice recognition, facial recognition, and all that. All right. Give one example of a file extension that will be part of the following type of files. So you see this in chapter 11, file management. Okay. So for image, we have 4 types for image. So I'm just going to type of file, right? .png, okay, or .jpg, or .gif. This one means GIF means okay. Let me do this. GIF means graphic interchange format. Please take note. PNG means portable network graphics. Where can I write JPG? Can I write it here? Let me write it here. JPG means joint photographic expert group. Okay. So this one means JPEG, right? Then if you want to do the JPG, you remove this expert. So we have joint photographic group. All right. So for text, we have CSV or RTF or TXT. So let's look at the CSV. The CSV means what? Comma, separated value. You have RTF. You have rich text format. Then for TXT, you have it as what? Plain text. Take note of that. Then web page. For web page, you have .html or 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 .htm or .css. Let's talk about them. So you have HTML, okay, you have it as hypertext markup language, okay, hypertext markup language. You have which one? You have HTML, you have what? Hypertext markup. Then you have CSS, cascading style sheets. Okay, cascading style sheet. All right, so this brings us to the end of this paper. We've been able to look at file management, questions on file management, communications, safety and security from communications. So you see chapter 10, chapter 8, chapter 11. I also saw chapter 15. Chapter 7 came out more. Chapter 4, some questions on chapter 4. Chapter 7 was much. Chapter 14, styles. ICT application just once. Two. The sat nav and the streaming. Okay, file management came out, like 2-3 times. We will talk about the streaming. And then chapter 7 was much. Okay, we have here for chapter 7, we have and this one was chapter 1, really. This was chapter 1. So it was really an interesting paper, really. It was really an interesting paper. If you take out your time to study it, and watch this video over and over again to learn, it's like covering the textbook. Because again, I was not just answering questions, I was explaining concepts behind them, so that will give you an understanding of how to answer questions on them. And this is where I get to tell you that if you've not subscribed to this YouTube channel, then you're probably missing a lot of notifications of important information from us. And do well to share this video with your friends, because that's one way they can learn. Because one of the issues students have is paper one. There's always that complaint, sir, paper one. There are a lot of videos on practical over the internet, but paper one, you rarely find it. And that's why we come in to say, no, we want to help you to have that A-star. We want to help you to do well. We want to help you to gain that knowledge as much as possible. So do well to share. And if you've not joined our Discord server, we have a whole ton of resources, and it's a student community platform for IGCSE and E-level, where you guys get to learn, grow, have study groups, and become better versions of yourself. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.